Good morning, everyone, and Happy New Year. We are once again at the end of another month. That means our stats for the end of December 2025 are available. So let's get into the numbers. This is for Winter Haven, Florida. Winter Haven saw 80 closed sales in December 2025. That's compared to 97 a year ago. That's a decrease of 17.5%. Cash sales as a percentage of closed sales, 25% of all sales were cash sales compared to 27.8% a year ago. That's a decrease of 10.1%. Median sales price in Winter Haven, $292,500. That's compared to $295,000 a year ago. That's a decrease of 0.8%. The average sales price in Winter Haven, $289,706 compared to $300,225. That's a decrease of 3.5%. Median percent of original list price, sellers received 97.2% of list price compared to 96.1% a year ago. That's an increase of 1.1%. Median time to contract, so how long is it taking from going new listing to pending? 44 days in Winter Haven compared to 48 days a year ago. That's a decrease of 8.3%. And then median time to sale or closing, 86 days compared to 91 days a year ago. That's a decrease of 5.5%. New pending sales, 59 new pending sales compared to 80 a year ago. That's a decrease of 26.3%. New listings, 106 new listings compared to 92 a year ago. That's an increase of 15.2%. Pending inventory, 78 homes pending compared to 86 a year ago. That's a decrease of 9.3%. Active inventory, 412 homes active in Winter Haven compared to 379 a year ago. That's an increase of 8.7%. And then month supply of inventory, 5.2 month supply of inventory compared to 4.4 month supply of inventory a year ago, an increase of 18.2%. Tune in and we'll talk a little bit more about what this means moving forward. So as we look at the housing market here locally, things are still relatively slow. Personally, I've noticed a bit of an uptick here in January, so hopefully our January numbers will start to look better. I know housing sentiment has improved in the last month or so, so hopefully again that'll translate to some better numbers. But for home sellers, if you bought your home in the last 2 to 3 years, unfortunately, it's really hard to sell right now because you're probably going to be selling at a loss. Your home is just not increased in value enough, and in some cases, it's decreased in value. But that's just a temporary thing. If you look long term at housing market and on appreciation, you'll see a graph that looks like this. It's always going up, and then there's a down, and then it starts going back up again. Even with the crash, you had a big drop, but then we had the pandemic and everything recovered a lot higher. And so if you look over time, the housing market and houses appreciate in value as long as you maintain them. Now, if the house is falling apart, that's a whole other conversation. But if you maintain the home, over time, your home is going to appreciate. So the key for this as a seller is not to panic because your home has lost value in the last couple of years. Now, that being said, that doesn't help things if you have to move because of life circumstance, a job relocation, something like that. And then, we need to look at short sales and things like that as potential options. But if you don't need to sell, then you're probably better off waiting until prices start to recover some. So that's kind of the message for home sellers. If you're a home buyer, however, now is probably the time to strike while the iron's hot. People talk all the time about timing the market. And honestly, that's really a myth. It's next to impossible to time the market because nobody can predict the future. We can look at trends, we can make some educated guesses as to what's going to happen in the near future. The only thing we can basically talk about with certainty is that over time, prices are going to go up. Home values are going to appreciate, not depreciate. So you've got to kind of look at the housing market more from a long-term perspective than a short-term investment kind of perspective, unless you're an investor, and that's another whole conversation. So if you're a home buyer, Rates are right around 6%, maybe just over. I'm not sure they're going to go a whole lot lower than that, maybe into the fives. However, the difference in your monthly payment between those two is going to be offset by the increase in home prices if a bunch of buyers flood the market. The reason that right now home prices are dropping is that there is more inventory than there is buyers. We're in really a balanced market, so neither sellers nor buyers really have the advantage. But I think because we're coming off of such a long seller's market that to a lot of sellers, it feels like the buyers have the advantage. And because of that, as a buyer, you have more negotiating power right now. Except for the best of the best homes in the best communities, you probably don't have to offer list price unless the home literally just went on the market. So you can negotiate price some. You can negotiate repairs. Sellers are willing to do some repairs. You can negotiate some closing cost assistance or seller concessions. You can negotiate interest rate buy downs. So there's a lot of leverage that you have as a buyer right now in this market, and it makes sense to take advantage of that. There's a reason why builders are dropping prices and offering all closing costs paid, and interest rate buy downs, and a full appliance package, et cetera, et cetera. That's to help move their inventory. They're trying to make their house stand out from all the other homes out there, and they're competing with other builders, but they're also competing with the resale market. So the whole idea of timing the market is kind of a misnomer, unless you're an investor. And if you're really looking for a home for your family as a primary residence, then time in the market is better than trying to timing the market. In other words, the longer you own that home, the more months even that you own that home, the more equity you're earning, and so the more wealth you're building. And so really the idea of timing the market is whenever it is the right time, when you are ready, willing, and able to financially afford the mortgage payments, taxes, insurance, etc. That's really what you need to look at in terms of determining whether it's the right time to buy for you. If you need help with that conversation, then please reach out to me. I don't advise everyone to buy a home right now. It really depends on your unique circumstances and what your goals are. So let's sit down, let's talk about what your goals are. Let's sign up for a consultation. Comment consultation below and with some contact information, and let's sit down and talk about whether it's right for you to buy. If you're a seller, do the same thing. Comment with your address as well as some contact information, and let's set up a seller consultation. If you're not comfortable doing a one-on-one, we will be hosting a seller seminar in Polk County here in our office at RE/MAX on February 28th, 10 a.m. So comment below if you want seminar, and I'll send you the details on that. So it's an interesting market right now. I do think that we're going to see mortgage rates start to drop a little more. And I think as we see that, we're going to see more buyers coming into the market. And so it's going to get a little more competitive out there, but it's going to be gradual. So let's sit down, let's talk about what the market's doing and how that might impact you. As always, if you or someone you know is looking to buy or sell a home in Central Florida, remember you can't miss with Chris, everyone. Have a great day.